Welcome to Philosophical Entertainment, where if you're not philosophically entertained, our entertainment is only philosophical. I am Nirakara Vani. Lately, there have been a lot of ponderings I've had, and I haven't exactly been able to work them into regular podcast episodes. So I've created this series titled Feel to Reveal. This isn't the news, not commentary. This is a mirror, a reflective surface, if you will. And if it makes you feel something, good. Because if you're not feeling, you're not healing. Today's short episode, The Weight of the Quiet Moment. I would love it if you wouldn't namago. I'd love it if you'd namaste and dive in with me. Because I've been wondering some things and I want to share these with you. This question, maybe I'll just ask you, have you ever considered the moral weight of a moment no one sees? No one's watching and you make a choice. What grows inside of you? What about a lie? A lie to yourself? Lying, as it turns out, is a lot like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the more developed it becomes. Not just neurologically, but emotionally, morally, and spiritually. Like a dog that bites. It remembers the pattern. The wiring is there. It only has to do it once. The map has been made. And next time, it's easier. But what happens inside you when you make dishonesty a habit? I'm reminded of how science tells us that even a polygraph examination, so often thought of as a detector of truth, it's fundamentally flawed. Polygraph results aren't even admissible as evidence in most courts. Why? Because a lie, when deeply believed, doesn't register as a lie at all. It doesn't activate the sympathetic nerve response, which is what the machine is designed to detect changes in. If you convince yourself of your own story, like Jesus is the Christ or something like that, your body may show no signs of deception when you're asked about it, because you believe it. You can literally trick your body into false alignment. You can lie to yourself so well, you pass the polygraph examination. But let me ask you this. If you can fool the machine, can you still fool the soul? Many of us learned to lie as children, not to be malicious, but to be accepted, to fit in, to avoid punishment, to receive love that honestly felt conditional. We learned, if I show all of who I am, I might be rejected. And so we split. We begin to craft masks, personas, versions of ourselves. And this makes me think of something Carl Jung wrote. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And that's true. Our desire for acceptance often overpowers our desire for authenticity. But every time we choose acceptance at the cost of truth, we bury the self a little deeper until one day we can't find it anymore. Lying, then, becomes a survival strategy that poisons us slowly calcifies our heart, like drinking salt water, say, to quench your thirst. What the soul wants is not applause, not safety, it wants truth, because truth is what love grows from. While working through this episode, I've been reflecting on Chief Michael Thompson, the former ASU police chief, once hailed as a symbol of order, but he was a defendant in my lawsuit. And when he resigned in disgrace in April of 2024, I felt something. Not joy, not revenge, but a quiet satisfaction. The fruit finally matched the seed. In 2016, I stood up against Chief Thompson, and he had a deeper pocket than mine. All the resources of ASU against me. So I lost. He won. This made him a measure more confident in his personal dishonesty. It took him over 7 years to fall. And it's not like he was busy being a moral man those entire 7 years. And think of that. 7 years he remained in power following our lawsuit. This brings us to time. The ego is short-sighted. It thinks, I got away with it. No one noticed. But some seeds take years to bloom. Some consequences, they have to ferment. Some infections start below the surface. You cannot plant poison and expect perfume. Even the Bible says in Galatians, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested recently after allegedly interfering in a federal immigration case. Her motives? Perhaps noble. Her method? Outside the game. When someone acts as both judge and player, they tilt the field. They destabilize the system they claim to protect. Integrity requires alignment, not just with law, but with principle. The Yoga Sutras speak of satya, or purity, not just of the body, but of thought and intention. Corruption begins not in action, but in mental compromise. So let's zoom out. Corruption is not just personal, it's systemic. When individuals in a system begin to treat the system as a tool to exploit, instead of a structure to protect, the foundation cracks. It's like rust eating the gears. The whole machine weakens. And this brings me to something JFK said. He said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Now, that's not just patriotic. That's a reminder that selfishness collapses systems. Systems are like temples. You don't exploit them, you kneel in them. What you worship, you become. Across traditions, we're warned, what you fixate on, you become. The Bhagavad Gita says, you become what you worship. The mind acts like an enemy for those who do not control it. And then again, back to the Bible, like in Matthew 6:21, it says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So what do you treasure? Power, control, revenge, image, or truth, integrity, connection? What you adore, you absorb. Like the saying, you're the sum of 5 of your friends. Who are you hanging out with? This reminds me of when I was going through the process of becoming a police officer. An old bishop of mine cautioned me not to do it. It wasn't because he was trying to hold me back. He was trying to warn me. You do not change the atmosphere that you're in, you become it. One good apple doesn't heal the bunch. One bad apple spoils the bunch. And in law enforcement, it's riddled with bad apples. You will not change them. They will change you. And if you stand up against them, they will crush you because your defiance against them insults their collective ego. They will not go away because you're there. They will ensure you do. Which, let's bring this back home, right? If you've strayed, so have I. We all have. The question isn't, have you failed, right? Guilt or shame. The question is, are you ready to come back? And what are you ready to come back to? Yourself. So start simple. Tell one truth today that's hard to say. Journal the places you feel out of alignment. Sit in stillness and ask, what seed am I planting? Practice satya, truthfulness, and tapas, discipline. Truth is uncomfortable at first, but so too was lying, wasn't it? But peace lives behind truth. Exercise that muscle. One act of integrity can echo for generations. Look at Gandhi, Rosa Parks, whistleblowers, elders, saints. They stood in their quiet moment and chose truth. Like Dr. King said, the time is always right to do what is right. Your echo starts today, not with a megaphone, but with a whisper. In your quiet moment, what do you stand for? What do you protect? Because even when no one is watching, you are. And that means someone is always watching. And that someone is you. Recently, I was at a birthday party, having a conversation with a man who said he was deeply religious, a Christian, part of a church he clearly cherished. And this ignited the philosopher in me. And so I asked him a question that has lived in me for a long time. I asked, does God know everything? He nodded yes, without hesitation. So I did a little yes and I fell down that rabbit hole with him. And then I asked, if I'm watching my wife give birth, does God know what she's experiencing? The physical, emotional, spiritual intensity of that moment? And he answered, yes, of course. But I paused for effect, letting it sink in. And then I asked, how could God know what she's experiencing unless God is her? That's experiential knowledge that she's obtaining. And unless God has had that experience as her, God doesn't truly know what she's experiencing. This means, God doesn't know everything. That's when it hit him. And maybe it's hitting you too. If God truly knows all, God must be her. But then if God is her and not me, God doesn't know what I feel like watching the childbirth as I obtain experiential knowledge. So God must be me. And if God is me, then God is you, and God is everyone. Because the only way for God to truly know all things is to be all things. Then the man, he tried to counter, right? It's not going to happen in a moment where it's, oh, you're right, my religion is wrong, right? So he says, well, God can understand anything. But I reminded him, understanding isn't the same as experiencing. We're discussing experiential knowledge. So a virgin can understand sex. That doesn't mean they aren't a virgin. So if God is not just the intellect that observes, but the presence that experiences, then God must be the very life within each of us. God must be all of us simultaneously. And if that's true, if God is you, then when you lie to yourself, you're lying to God. When you deceive others, you're deceiving God. When you think you're hiding something in the dark, you're not. Because God knows. Knowing knows. And not just about it, God knows it from within. God doesn't just watch from above. God lives as the observer and the observed. So even if you fool a polygraph, you haven't fooled the presence that lives in your breath. The mirror is always reflecting. The witness is always present. And the truth, it never left. Let's dive even deeper here. The timeless one sees all. The action of the lie and the arising of its consequences arise simultaneously to the timeless one. When an ego lies, then passes a polygraph exam, it thinks it's gotten away with the lie. However, the timeless one still observes both the action and its consequence. Time is not a factor. The ego is trapped in the game of time. The passing of time is not an indicator of guilt or innocence, it's seasons. When certain seeds are planted in a season, each type of seed will grow regardless. It's the ego that doesn't understand the time frames that seeds work under. The ego doesn't know how long it takes to ferment a lie. In short, no one is fooled. The physical act of lying carries consequences. In time, those consequences become known to the ego, but they were known all along to the timeless one. So what, then, are we all to do with this information? First, we remember, we are not the ego. We are the observer behind it. We are the timeless one who sees all things bloom in the now. Action and reaction, intention, consequence, planted and harvested all at once. The ego lies because it forgets that. It lives on delay. It believes in escape. But escape from what? From the very self that bears witness to it all? There's no exit from awareness. And there is no lie that doesn't already ripple out the moment it's told. Not tomorrow, not years later, now. This isn't a threat. It's an invitation, a reminder. It's grace. Because if the mirror is always reflecting, then every moment is a chance to realign, to return, to stop trying to control how we're seen and start becoming what we're meant to be. Honest, awake, whole. This is why your quiet moment matters, because no one may see what you do in silence, but you do. And that's enough. That is where the universe takes its measure. It's where karma lives, not as punishment, but as unfolding, as doing, a flowering of what you've cultivated within. And the beautiful truth is, if you're planted in a lie, you can still plant a truth right now. Water that. Speak that. Let that grow. Because in a world obsessed with the spotlight, your integrity in the dark is the most revolutionary thing you can offer. And that's not small work. That is world-changing work. And that is God seeing through you work. So take this moment, this quiet, sacred moment, and recommit to truth, to love, to becoming the kind of character your soul wants to play. And know this, you were never alone in your witnessing. You were never alone in your knowing. You were never alone in your becoming. The quiet moment isn't quiet at all. It echoes through eternity, and it starts with you. I am Nirakara Vani, and this has been the Weight of the Quiet Moment, from the Feel to Reveal series, only here on Philosophical Entertainment. Until next time, be well, plant wisely, and remember, integrity is not what you do when you're in the spotlight. It's what you do when the stage is empty. Be the one who chooses truth anyway. Take care of yourself and love without delay.